Hey everyone, this is Stove here, and today is another day where we're going to be talking about more college football. This is week 3 today. Well, this is week 3. By the time I'm recording this, it would be a day before college football even starts on Thursday. Um, and even NFL starting on Thursday. But for this video, we're not going to, well, I'll still go through the whole schedule, just not like talking about a bunch of different teams. Last week, I was able to provide my 7 games that I thought were going to do well, and for the most part, they really did. I think if you guys look back at that video and see what I kind of said about each one of them, I think you guys would be like, oh, well, he was kind of right on some of these games. But at the same time, there's a little bit, some things that didn't work out as well as he thought it would be, which is understandable. It happens. But yeah, we are going to just be focusing on 7 games today. I will go through the entire schedule for college football if you guys think that there are some other games that could have made this 7-team list. Obviously, I don't want to do this all the time, but for my little report here, every single game that I have has a top 20, a top 20 at least. Top 20 ranked team, at least one. So, first thing we're going to start off with is Clemson versus Georgia Tech. Both teams are interesting. You got Clemson, who coming off of a solid win, at least second half wise, against Troy. Obviously, they struggled quite a bit in that first half. Was able to put some points on the board before the halftime. And then was able to, their defense absolutely handled what they needed to handle, was able to fix things. Their offense was able to move down the field more efficiently, and they were able to take that win against Troy that a lot of people thought Troy was going to take that one away from them, making Clemson start 0-2. But for Clemson to come out the way they did in the second half, beautiful. Couldn't have done a better job sealing that win. Georgia Tech, they're starting 2-0. Amazing running defense, amazing running offense, and you got quite a few receivers that are also doing good on that. Very well-rounded wide receiving core. A lot of if you go through it, there's not a lot of people that may stand out in that wide receiving core unless you feel like there are. But other than that, you basically have a few, majority of their receivers that have already gotten catches, or tight ends or running backs are pretty much a part of that offensive plan to get anywhere and everywhere, and that would be the key for Georgia Tech's offense, to be able to scramble Clemson's defense as much as Troy was able to do in that first half. Now, granted, with Clemson doing what they did in the second half defensively and offensively, that just means that they are going to be hopefully well more prepared and go into facing Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech's stadium, and hopefully be able to be a little bit more dominant than they have been in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Clemson faced LSU in the first week. It was a little bit more hectic for them. It was a very tough challenge, and they ended up making a few more mistakes than LSU did. Realistically, though, the defense of Clemson had 3 interceptions last game. Yes, that is Troy, And yes, Georgia Tech has done a lot more efficient work at being able to throw the ball into the wide receiver's hands more accurately. But at the same time, that Clemson defense was the reason why that they were able to win that game against Troy. Wasn't exactly just the offense that were able to get some points on the board. That defense saved Clemson's butt, realistically. Now, obviously, you have their quarterback. Oh, that was weird. You have their quarterback that the last 2 games had thrown 426 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Pretty good there. Randall has even gotten some rushing yards here and there. 128, I believe. And then you obviously have Wesco Jr., who's gotten 11 catches with 184 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Pretty solid for that Clemson offense, but like I said, it hasn't really been the best, and it was one of the main reasons on why they've looked not like the Clemson team that we expected to come out this season. Now, Georgia Tech, I'm pretty sure they had 2 quarterbacks. I don't know how it really worked for them, but they have like 2 quarterbacks with some decent stats. But the starter, if we go on here, let's see. Come on. There we go. You obviously have the senior in Hayes King. You have Aaron Philo. Both of them have done well. Aaron seems to be more of the pass-heavy guy, and they want him to be that guy, even though he is a freshman, I believe. Hayes King is still a guy that they trust with the ball, so wanting to put him into the package that they're willing to run again. 19 carries for King down here, 156 rushing yards. So really, their rushing game has been their key to their success. Wouldn't be surprised if that's what puts them into a good position and may even have a better position than Clemson for the most part. So, and obviously Georgia Tech's defense has been able to look good, was able to stop Colorado's offense, even though Colorado's offense is looking a little shaky anyway. Georgia Tech has still looked pretty good defensively. I think their defensive line, if they can just do what they have been doing, and that's been getting sacks and being able to pressure that quarterback, I think Clemson, if they had trouble with Troy's defense, not underestimating, I'm not trying to make it seem like, Troy's Troy, they don't have a defense. I'm sure they do. But at the same time, Clemson has had the issue of their offensive line and their offensive line getting all this pressure, the quarterback not being able to do really anything with it because he ends up throwing 2 interceptions the last 2 weeks anyway. And obviously he didn't have their quarterback, Klubnik. He didn't exactly have the best game against LSU, but he had a slightly better game against Troy. But still, the issue is right now is that offensive line. If they can wrap that up and really just try to be going up backwards with their offensive line and allowing less pressure on their QB, I think they're going to probably be able to dominate Georgia Tech. Probably not like at first, but definitely put like 31 to 20 or 38 to 27 type numbers between the two of them, and Clemson being the winner of that. But yeah, if it's a closer game than that, I can definitely see Georgia Tech's kicker, Beer, if that's how you say his name, and he looks to want to try and kick as much as possible. I mean, the guy, let's see. Oh, okay, of course I passed it. The guy is 3 for 3 on field goals made, each one from each level of the main areas that you see kickers kicking. So, realistically, this could end up being something to look forward to. Georgia Tech probably beating Clemson if Clemson does not come out ready with their offense and their defense. I think Clemson's defense will make it a close game as long unless their offense actually comes out like how they did in the second quarter. That was weird. Second half, and then proceed to be able to Clemson will be, if their defense makes it a close game, which I'm expecting, because their defense has done pretty well this year, even though they made a couple of mistakes in LSU and even made some mistakes in that first half as well as the offense. Clemson is going to be able to put Georgia Tech in their place, hopefully, as long as that offense picks it up, because that's all they need, is their offense to do better than they have the last 2 weeks. Their defense has done their due diligence. They've been working their butts off, it looks like, but the only reason why that they looked this bad is because of the offensive pressure, and I don't understand. There's maybe a few things that they could probably fix, maybe a few things that they can determine, maybe swap some guys here and there. Maybe it's not that simple. Maybe it's just a confidence thing or something along those lines. But I do think this Clemson team is pretty sufficient, and I think last year we had a lot of the guys come back. So maybe it's a confidence thing, maybe it's a thing with thinking that they're all this, and then they absolutely have to work for that, which the last 2 games they've been 50-50 on. So I think the Troy game really woke them up. So hopefully you get Clemson winning against Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech's defense can still put a lot of pressure on that Clemson offensive line and be able to get to Clemson's quarterback, not with ease, but you'll see a couple of sacks, maybe even an interception if Clemson is forcing things. So anyway, that was Clemson and Georgia, and let's move on to Georgia and Tennessee. Well, here we go. Georgia versus Tennessee. Solid face-to-face matchup, both in the SEC, and both of them started off 2-0. Both of them are going to have a challenge on their hands between one another's defenses. Stockton has looked pretty well, 40 for 58, 417. Well, this was last game, but in total, he's done pretty well. But I'm pretty sure, for what I'm looking at, 417 passing yards, even rushing quite a bit, 15 attempts, 86 rushing yards, and 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe. Yes. Okay. And then you also have Georgia's run game. Sorry, guys. Which you got Zach Branch and C Young, who in total have carried for those. Oh my goodness, I'm just all mixed up today. But these are wide receivers here. Branch and Young together, 15 catches, 218 yards, and one singular touchdown. But I think you'll be able to probably see a little bit more going on with them if Stockton can kind of just not be a little bit more aggressive, but get the ball more. If he is able to throw more, now obviously 40 for 56 is impressive, and yeah, you could say that he is just doing what Georgia's offensive coordinator and head coach are asking of him. Yeah, but at the same time, I think Gunner can do a lot more. I think you give him more and more of a opportunity to be that quarterback that can throw 35 plus completions to be able to get however many yards you need him to get, plus some rushing here and there. He's going to look like a dominating quarterback that could end up being the top 3 quarterback pick in the draft for 2026. But the running backs, they got a good trio there. I'm pretty sure they together have either over or right around 300 rushing yards with some touchdowns there. Obviously, with Georgia, they're looking to want to have solid pressure and maybe even get a interception or two against this solid defense, against this solid Tennessee offense, which right now, the looks out of it, even though Tennessee has faced some pretty easy competition compared to teams like Georgia, their quarterback has gotten 535 passing yards with 5 passing touchdowns. Tennessee's running back Thompson, 24 carries, 161 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and the receiving leader, 14 catches, 187 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. And don't you worry, because that is not the only guy that has gotten over 100 receiving yards already. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to add in some mixing, the tight ends, a little good curl route from time to time, maybe even get the running backs to pitch off to them, especially if that Georgia team is weird. Sorry about that, guys. That was just a weird camera thing there. But anyway, like I was saying, you have possibly wanting, if Georgia is going to want that pressure to make the Tennessee quarterback look human, you're more than likely wanting to pass it off to the running back from here and there. Maybe have a tight end. If they're bringing linebackers, tight end is going to probably shoot up in the middle of the field and be able to get some solid yards. But still, he was able to give a lot of his receivers a lot of good looks. Now, funny thing is, Tennessee, even though they face some easy competition, of course you're going to play a lot of deep players, but the last 2 games, 5 of their running backs have 10 plus attempts, each of them, which is insane because you're basically giving reps to 5 running backs that will more than likely, at least the 4th and 5th running back probably won't play as much, but if all 5 of those guys basically have that experience and get that feeling of being under lights, you're more than likely going to see them not only use their RB1 and RB2, but be able to rest them, give RB3, 4, and 5 some looks at running back, and even to get some wide open catches, like on the side here and there. I mean, I think Tennessee's offense is going to be everywhere, and that's what Georgia is going to try and contain. And if they can contain it, then that's what they're going to hopefully do and be able to give this Tennessee quarterback his first one, maybe even 2 interceptions. Man. Now, realistically, Tennessee's defense is also very well-rounded as well. They want to contain Gunnar Stockton, be able to make him miss more. Jeez. Sorry. But make him miss more. Have him try to run out of the pocket, but the moment he runs out of that pocket, those edge rushers are right on him, or those linebackers are right on him. The corners can even drop down if their safeties can pick up the receivers going out. But the way that this Tennessee offense is going to be, they're going to have to trust their defensive line and occasionally their linebackers to just absolutely berate the Tennessee the Tennessee offense. Yes. Anyway, now both of these two, if it comes down to it, I see Tennessee end up winning by 2 points as a surprise to beat Georgia type thing, with Max Gilbert being 100% for kicking. And but at the same time, Georgia could end up squashing whatever offense that Tennessee may have, but I just think it'll probably be a high-scoring game for both of them. And if their defenses can't handle them, then it will end up probably just being the final person who makes that mistake will end up losing that game. So anyway, I feel like I'm just going to go with Georgia. It's probably just the safer option since they are 3.5 the favorite. But at the same time, you guys can tell me different if you guys are Tennessee fans. Anyway, let's get back on track, and let's go to our third game that we'll be talking about today. Alright guys, this is the third game is gonna be South Florida versus Miami. And yes, I know. You guys are thinking, Stove, why are you talking about South Florida against Miami? The number 5 ranked team in the nation, more than likely the top 3 offense and top 5 defense, is going to kill South Florida. How many people thought that Florida University was going to do that? The amount of people that didn't see South Florida winning against Florida, Florida is now unranked, and South Florida is the ranked team 18th in the top 25. So I would not put it past you if you say, Stove, you're doing too much now. South Florida isn't, it's a waste of time. The moment that they won, I had to pick a 7th game. And obviously I'm only doing this by order of them going down. Anyway, but I had to choose between a different game and the South Florida-Miami game. If they would have lost, I would have been probably not. But if they would have won, this could be an interesting narrative to see South Florida be able to do something to Miami that not everybody has done to Miami yet. Carson Beck is looking good. 472 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Even has over a 76 passer completion rating. So, I mean, he's am I saying that right? 76.4% of his passes were completed. So he's got a solid, tough duo with the running backs. He's even got another solid duo. In my opinion, I think he's got 2 number 1 receivers at the helm to be able to throw to. And that defense is definitely a top 5 defense. Going up against and pressuring Byron Brown, waiting for their opportunity to absolutely squash the South Florida train for this coming weekend. And since it is in Miami, Florida's stadium, then it'll probably end up being a squash game. South Florida probably won't score 20 plus points, but again, there's always that chance that Miami thinks that way, and then South Florida just comes out of nowhere. Byron Brown comes out of nowhere looking like the absolute stud that it looks like he's becoming, the absolute star that Fletcher Jr. is becoming. Obviously with Miami, but you also have people like Singletary, who's only gotten 7 receptions but 160 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. So realistically, I think you're probably going, again, you're saying South Florida is a waste of time, but at the same time, win, lose, or draw, South Florida is winning their conference. And I think even if they score more than 3 possessions, if they score more than 3 possessions, I think and they even keep Miami from absolutely dominating them. If they keep Miami from scoring 40 plus points and South Florida still scores at least 3 touchdowns somewhere, not only is that kind of a close game pretty much, and it could go it very much seems to be one-sided, with the favorite going to Miami 16.5. But I don't know. It was almost just like this with Florida being favorited the way they were against South Florida, and South Florida was able to do something about it. So we'll see. Obviously, dealer's choice is going to be Miami. And I will be wrong on this whenever I say this, but I think South Florida pulls it off. I think South Florida is going to be that underdog that no one saw coming out of Florida. Maybe some analysts did, but South Florida is looking like a pretty good team. And again, like I said, win, lose, or draw, which let's just say win-lose, because I don't ever see draws in college football. But so win or lose, South Florida, I think, is still going to put on an amazing competition for Miami. I think South Florida puts on the show that a lot of people don't think that they're going to be able to do offensively or defensively. Obviously, this game will prove me wrong whenever it is done. But at the same time, I am willing to go with the underdog in South Florida. I wouldn't care. I would just want to say that the rest of their lineup for the schedule, it may probably be a little tough just because it's in conference play, and you're always going to have that those tough teams in conference that may not look super tough outside of the conference games that you played, but still. Anyway, I'm going South Florida winning by between 1 and 3 points, but Miami could obviously just wipe the floor with them. Anyway, let's get to our 4th game. Now, obviously, we're going to be going to our 4th game, which is going to be Florida versus LSU. Yes, I am bringing in bringing in another Florida team, because you know what? I believe that they fought as hard as they probably could against South Florida. I think we should be giving South Florida their flowers when beating a team like Florida University. But at the same time, Florida University's defense was able to do some things, but made some mistakes. So we could just see LSU absolute blow everybody out of the water. But the fact is, Florida's rushing game is pretty solid with their main rusher with 27 carries, 197 yards, and a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy ends up going for another 100 rushing yards and a touchdown or two. Wouldn't be surprised. Now, in my opinion, though, we need to probably see DJ Lagway be able to move the ball more efficiently. He didn't exactly do that last game against South Florida, and I think he will be able to do so if he just is, if the South Florida loss does not put him into a weird situation where his confidence is now drained from him. Like I said, that Florida defense is looking to just contain and secure the guy of Nosmeyer. 469 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, even threw an interception. I believe that was against Clemson. So realistically, though, LSU could just walk away with this winning against Florida like 40-something to 14 or 40-something to 10. But I believe that Florida could end up making it a closer game than everyone thinks it can be. And I don't necessarily really see LSU upsetting Florida. Florida upsetting LSU. It just looks like Florida will end up losing anyway, just because LSU is just on this hot streak right now. Their talent, their skilled players are just playing like absolute monsters right now. I mean, that's the same with Miami. They're playing like lights out right now. So, but realistically though, I know I'm saying realistically a lot. If it comes down to kicking, sure, but I don't see that happening. I do see Florida looking still good on defense and even showing some promise on offense. But LSU is going to end up winning that game like 42, at most 42 or 49 to 28. So I think it will be somewhat back and forth, but it'll mainly just be LSU pulling away from Florida by like the third or fourth quarter. Anyway, I know that was pretty fast, but kind of want this to be a little... That one wasn't much, but I wanted that to be a little fast. Anyway, let's get on to our fifth game. Now, as you can tell, I didn't exactly move very much, and that's because our fifth game is going to be Arkansas versus Ole Miss. Yes, these two started off 2-0. Ole Miss had already won one conference game. Pretty solid work from both of them. Ole Miss, even though Simpsons has 576 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns, the guy's thrown 4 interceptions. And yeah, you could also say, well, Lacey with 44 carries and 246 yards, 4 touchdowns, more than likely will be a top 5 running back if he goes into the... I'm pretty sure if he'll go into the draft after this season. But it's very possible that Arkansas, if they get anywhere close to... And Simmons, unfortunately, is averaging 2 interceptions per game. That is not going to work against a defense like Arkansas. Arkansas defense looks very promising. I think their offense looks pretty promising too, with Talon G 561 passing yards, but 10 touchdowns. I mean, yes, the Arkansas, in my opinion, has found their way the frickin' schedule to not so good teams compared to a team like Ole Miss. And with Ole Miss already facing a in-conference team, they're already about ready to be used to the defense and the grit and the pressure that's going to be on them. Ole Miss is also going to be at home, so it's going to be a lot easier. But I wouldn't fray from Arkansas getting another 1 or 2 interceptions from Simmons. Unless Simmons quits with the interceptions to put his team in a little bit more of a predicament when trying to get the ball back, it may be a lot closer and will definitely come down to the wire in the fourth quarter for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas, with every interception that Simpsons gives up, Arkansas puts that as points scored after turnovers. So, both of them, I think, have solid defenses. With Arkansas, you're going to see Rhodes Jr., you're going to see Phillip, which I forgot to write his first name, but you got some players like that, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Sorry for not giving more information on that, but you got those two guys who've given absolute pressure already, but if those guys step up and show, oh my goodness, like, we're gonna destroy Simmons and we're gonna make sure that he is throwing interceptions, or if he gets hit, or we knock the ball away, or if we knock it in the air and linebacker or corner is close enough and makes an athletic play to grab that ball, gets another turnover, all suddenly Arkansas has the ball and they're ready to pass the ball and score touchdowns. And Arkansas even has Mike W, 18 attempts, 185 rushing yards with a touchdown. So you're gonna definitely see some guys to make some plays for Arkansas, especially, like I said, if Simmons throws these interceptions willy-nilly like he has been, on an average of 2 interceptions or 2 turnovers per game, I think Arkansas is going to end up taking that and running with it, putting Arkansas to win 38-30. At least that's what I'm thinking. I do see Ole Miss still being able to score on the ground and being able to do what they need to do defensively too, because they're going to have some defensive stops as well. But the moment Arkansas, I just feel like there's just more going for Arkansas than there is Ole Miss, even though Ole Miss is ranked right now. Like I said, wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss shudders away like the last, 2 seasons. They ended up losing against teams that arguably they could have won against. So, yeah, I'm going to say Arkansas is going to end up winning that game, but Ole Miss can prove me wrong and not turn over the ball with a single interception. Wouldn't be surprised if there was a forced fumble though anywhere, but I'm going Arkansas with this one just because I have a lot more confidence in their offense than I do Ole Miss's. Anyway, let's go on to the 6th game. And here it is, the 6th game. Yes, I did not move very much because it's Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Notre Dame ended up losing, and to be fair, it was a very good game. I don't know why I can't remember the game, but It was a solid game. Regardless, they could have done a lot better though. Goodness gracious, who did they play now? Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting this. Miami. If you guys didn't see that, it's Miami. Miami, they lost against Miami by 3 points. And now they're facing another top 25 team in Texas A&M. So, realistically, I think it's going to be still another challenge with Texas A&M also having Reed, the quarterback, I believe, if I look back through it. Sorry for the slow camera stuff. Just a little weird right now. At least if you guys are seeing that. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing right here. But yeah, Reed has 509 passing yards with 7 passing touchdowns. The guy's done pretty well. Obviously, they haven't done any conference play that I know of. So if they want to, they can continue passing the ball. But I think Notre Dame's defense is going to end up trying to do a better job at pressuring that quarterback, not making any mistakes in that passing coverage. If they can just really focus on the passing coverage and contain that quarterback at Texas A&M, I see Reed throwing an interception. Well, no, throwing a touchdown, but then throwing 2 interceptions. I think Notre Dame ends up pulling this one out. Even when they could have pulled it out against Miami, I think Notre Dame shouldn't lose this game. Obviously, Texas A&M's offense looks very good. At least the passing game does. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Notre Dame's defense is still pretty darn good. Even though they lost a lot of guys to this past pro season's draft, I see a lot of talent still on Notre Dame. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Reed ends up throwing 2 interceptions because he gets a little too confident. And with the mistakes that Notre Dame made against Miami, they tweak those mistakes into turning them into successful plays, whether that be sacking Reed more, pressuring Reed more for pass deflections or pass incompletions, or just straight up interceptions that can turn the tide real quick, probably either in the second quarter or in the third and fourth quarter. Especially whenever it gets down to the wire, I feel like you'll see Notre Dame having a better shot at winning the game. But anyway, instead of pausing it here, this will be our last game, and that being Vanderbilt versus number 11 South Carolina. I wanted to do this one just because Vanderbilt has shown a lot of promise, especially on offense, and they look like they've gotten like all 3 of their leaders, passing, rushing, and receiving, have technically better stats than South Carolina's team. But South Carolina's offensive line hasn't looked very good either. Well, I wouldn't say either. South Carolina's offense as a whole has looked good, but having Sellers getting sacked 6 times in the last 2 weeks doesn't exactly help your guys' chances of winning against someone like Vandy, who could upset you guys at your own place. That's as simple as that. But at the same time, Vandy hasn't exactly had like the highest amount of tackles, even though it's been only 2 weeks for Vanderbilt. they haven't had a lot of tackles. You haven't really seen anybody step up crazily with like 10 plus or 15 plus tackles already for Vanderbilt. But you have seen some sacks. You've had seen some turnover on downs provided by, well, not turnover on downs. I'm like, well, yeah. Well, is it turnover on downs or just, yeah, Vanderbilt being able to stop teams efficiently. South Carolina has also done that. I think their front seven could easily make Pavera Pava, yeah, D Pava, being able to just try to pressure him and contain him and just swallow him up. I think South Carolina's defense is actually better than what they were last year. I think their offense is even better than they were last year. And maybe that's even why that they were ranked, because with all the people that came into South Carolina, whether it was the recruiting class, whether it was the transfer portal, South Carolina grabbed a lot of talent. And it shows, even though like you see the ratings or the stats, obviously there's not a South Carolina guy to be found in that top three. But at the same time, looking at what I think is very important is that Sellers does try to give the ball to his wide receivers more efficiently, trying to do the best he can, even when he's getting sacked on average 3 times a game, getting pressured probably 4 or 5 times more than that. The guy is still trying to make plays, and I think we're going to see a lot of plays being made between the both offenses. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see at least 3 interceptions collectively by Pava and Sellers. So I'm thinking one of them is going to have 2 interceptions, the other one is going to make a mistake and also get an interception. That's just me. I think Vandy's going to end up winning by a possession. Just one possession between 3 to 7 points. But again, I wouldn't be surprised South Carolina could end up coming down to the wire and their kicker, Williams Joyce, who's 8 for 8 on extra points and 2 for 3 on field goals, can end up coming out, being able to handle his business. But at the same time, with Vandy, they also got a solid quarterback in Brock Taylor, who's 10 for 11 on extra points, but 2 for 2 on field goals. And both of these guys have kicked solid field goals that could have easily went for 50 plus yards. But obviously, some of those field goals did not. Well, some of those field goals weren't at like over 50 yards or anything like that, at least to my knowledge. So it could come down to the wire with the this in-conference game. It could come down to the wire, or I actually see Vanderbilt putting on a masterclass offensive run and just showing the mistakes, the little things that South Carolina may want to work on, because even though South Carolina has won their out-of-conference games, they had also, I'm pretty sure, been getting their defenses have also allowed, I believe, 20 plus points per game. So it's not exactly the best thing for someone like South Carolina to show that they're allowing these points, because if they're allowing these points against non-conference teams that they obviously are favorited to beat, Vanderbilt is going to be like, well, we're then going to show your holes in your defense and be able to shove Alexander down your throat whenever we get the chance by the time we get into the end zone, and then Pava, I'm just gonna say Pava. He's gonna be able to just absolutely start slinging on you guys. So anyway, I have Vanderbilt winning. That's pretty much it for today's video. Obviously, my goal is to try to shorten these things. Right now it's a little over 50 minutes, but I would want to try and shorten this a little bit more, but still try to be as detailed as possible in case you guys want to know more on these certain games. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think of my picks, what you think of the video itself, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe to follow for more content such as this, and I will see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful day. Peace.